What's up, fragrant world, and welcome back to another Stay Fresh production. As you can tell, we're talking about fall/autumn fragrances, and we're talking about designer fragrances this time around. I'll have a niche list coming soon. I highly encourage you to check that out when it comes around. I know many of you will skip it nonetheless, but I'm saying it now. I encourage you not to skip it. Check it out. It's going to be a good one. I got my leather jacket on. I love the fall. It's my favorite time of the year. And if I had to rank the seasons for me, autumn is number 1, spring is number 2, winter number 3, summer number 4. I really don't like the summer. I prefer when it's gloomy and more chilly, and especially since we get to bust out, again, leather jackets, look a little bit more stylish, and bust out our cooler weather fragrances that are gonna really thrive in the cooler weather. They have maybe a darker scent character, not so fresh anymore, but maybe some still ride the line because autumn is a transition season. It'll start warm and get cooler, obviously. We're gonna jump right in to this list. Top 10, no honorable mentions. Here we go. Here's number 10. One that you don't see anyone talk about, and I know why, but for some reason, I kind of like this fragrance. It's a little bit of a guilty pleasure. Pun intended. This is Gucci Guilty Intense. And I included this in my Aromiental week. If you have never heard that word before, watch this video and you'll learn more about what I mean by that. But this is a really easy to wear fragrance. It's kind of a generic, sweet and fresh, aromatic scent. There's some amber in there, so it does have some warmth and sweetness. There's some lavender, I think. It's, again, kind of generic. It's really nothing special at all, but again, easy to wear, especially for a night out. The last time I wore this, I got several compliments, all in the same establishment. People were really enjoying the sillage of this. So that's Gucci Guilty Intense. You can probably find it pretty cheap online. I wouldn't say go out and try it. You have to go smell it. But if you're looking for something sweet and aromatic and easy to wear, this is a good one to throw on. At number 9, you do need a little bit of freshness in your fall lineup because, again, things start out a little bit on the warmer side and you might want to milk your fresher scents as much as you can before you have to kind of phase them out. But of course you can wear fresh scents all year round. And a great genre of fragrances to wear, especially for the autumn as well as the spring, great for transition seasons, is the aromatic fougere. How it's characterized, it's fresh and spicy, aromatic, sometimes herbal. You often have notes like lavender, you'll have citruses, you'll have some kind of spice like pepper or something like that. You'll have maybe even like tonka bean or coumarin, which comes from the tonka bean, adds a little bit of sweetness to it. Sometimes you throw some leather in there. There's a lot of different ways to twist the fougere genre, and this is kind of a basic one, but it is good and high quality at the barbers from the house of Margiela, from the replica line. I've talked a lot about this fragrance. I've reviewed this fragrance. I'm not going to say much more. I kind of gave you the gist of what it smells like in terms of a fougere, but basically smells like shaving cream. Really fresh and pleasant shaving cream. And you can't go wrong with something like this in the daytime, but in general, it's pretty versatile. You can wear this anytime during the fall. That's at the barbers. Coming in at number 8, also featured in my Aromiental video, an easily overlooked and slept on fragrance from the house of Mont Blanc. This is Legend Night from 2017, I believe. And I understand why this was overlooked, and I've talked about this before. This is a flanker, so it is based on the original Mont Blanc Legend, but it's a different twist on it. They changed some of the note structure, they changed the scent profile to give it, again, a different vibe. The problem with this is that it is not unique and it has terrible performance. That is doom for any fragrance, but especially a flanker. It's going to get lost in the shuffle very easily. And this one basically smells like a watered down Armani Code Profumo to my nose. So it's not unique, and again, it doesn't last long. I get maybe 5 hours out of this if I'm pushing it. But I find it so pleasant, especially for nights out when you want to put something on that's not too strong. Maybe you're going to a particular event or you don't want to be so boisterous, but still very pleasant and detectable for a short period of time. This is a great one to go with. It's fresh and sweet. I think you get vanilla in here. There may be some apple, maybe some lavender. Again, it is kind of fresh. It's really, really pleasant. No one's gonna dislike this. As long as they can smell it, they will like it. So that's Mont Blanc Legend Night. At number 6, this is not a fall fragrance at all, but I know I will be wearing it because I've been getting a lot of wear out of this scent. I don't consider the scent profile to be characteristic of the autumn season, but once again, I know I'll be wearing it. It's fresh. You can wear fresh fragrances all year round. This is Tommy for Men. And man, I'm loving this one. This is one that I grew up on, so that's why I love it so much. If you have never smelled it, you'll probably find it just kind of generic, fresh, a little aquatic, but it's beautiful to me. You get this really nice semi-aquatic, as I said. Note there's apple in here, there's some mint, I think, and there's lavender. So it's very fresh and crisp with some citruses as well. It gets a little woody as it dries. Alberto Marias created this one. Some people are saying his name is Alberto Marilas. I'm not really sure, but I just call it how I see it. This is Tommy for Men, a cheapie. Definitely something good to check out if you're looking for something fresh to wear anytime, but I will be personally wearing this a lot this fall, especially to work. At number 6, from the house of Yves Saint Laurent, maybe not necessarily a fall fragrance, but I think it could suit the fall pretty well with its scent character. This is L'Homme Ultime. I was between this and the original L'Homme, but this one's a little bit stronger, which I think will do a little bit better as it starts to cool down. And you can see my top is all fingerprinted. I heard George from the channel Fragrance Apprentice mention that people always get on him about his smudgy and fingerprinty tops and bottles. And he said, well, that's because I use my fragrances. I touch them, so they get fingerprints. And I just found that hilarious and totally true. So yeah, I didn't bother to wipe it off for you, but whatever. You know why? Because I actually use this stuff, and this is great. It's spicy, woody, ginger, and rose. Very elegant, has a little bit of the original L'Homme DNA floating in the background to add that smoothness to it. Again, I get good performance out of this. It is an eau de parfum. It lasts me at least 7 hours. And this is one I would most likely wear during the daytime when I want to be a little bit more elegant. I love this stuff. L'Homme Ultime from Yves Saint Laurent. Now we're at number 5. And some people will not call this fragrance house a designer house. And they're not really a niche house either. They're more of a clone house. But this particular clone happens to be of a designer fragrance, so it is included on this list. It might be one of the most expensive fragrances on this list. I haven't checked the pricing, and I will put it down here as soon as I announce the fragrance. This is Imbue from the house of Parfums Vintage. And this is a clone of Gucci Guilty. Not Gucci Guilty, come on. This is a clone of Gucci Pour Homme 2, or 2, if you want to say it in French. Man, this is good stuff. To me, this is better quality, smoother, and longer lasting than the original Gucci, which is still a wonderful scent. And honestly, you can probably find the Gucci cheaper than this. But I consider this worth it because, again, to me, it is just a notch higher in quality, and I really appreciate that. And again, you get better longevity out of it. So I think it's worth the price. Again, I'll leave the price right here. Beautiful, beautiful tea-based scent. Maybe a little bit of tobacco leaf in there, a lot of violet. It's kind of watery, again, tea-like. It's kind of sweet, it's warming, maybe there's some cinnamon in here. It is so freaking beautiful. So elegant, and yeah, oh, love it. That is Imbue. Coming in at number 4 from the house of Bottega Veneta, a discontinued fragrance, unfortunately. I understand why, because this is not a popular scent character. It's a little polarizing, but I think it's wonderful, especially for the fall. This is their Pour Homme Extreme. The original Pour Homme was wonderful. A beautiful pine-based scent with some leather, with some juniper, some patchouli. And this basically, oh man, it's earthy, it's woody, it's leathery, it's niche quality in my opinion, and niche in terms of its scent profile. This is not something that you're going to find as a mass pleasing monster in your local department store, all next to all the blue fragrances. This is for the more daring designer fragrance wearing fragrance lover. And basically the difference between this one and the original to me is that this is more based around the leather note, whereas the original is more based around the pine. It's a little bit more green and fresh. This one is a little bit more earthy and leathery. It's subtle, but it lasts a long time, very gentlemanly. Love it. That is Pour Homme Extreme from Bottega Veneta. At number 3, the top 3 are all classics. They're all absolute bangers in my opinion, and perhaps nothing new, but they're here for a reason, because they're great, and at least I love to wear them this time of the year. You already know. If you don't know, then you should know. La Nuit de l'Homme. I don't care about all the batch variation stuff. I'm not following that stuff. I have not smelled any recent batches. This bottle's from 2013, which is a good batch. I get great performance out of this. The scent is nice and rich. If you've never smelled this before, rather than tell you what it smells like, I'm gonna just say go smell it. Go smell it. Just do yourself a favor. I wear this on nights out, and it does the job. That is La Nuit de l'Homme. At number 2, some of you might be surprised to see this here, and me saying that might give it away already if you've been watching this channel. One of my favorite fragrances of all time, a absolute classic from the house of John Varvatos. This is Vintage. Rodrigo Flores Roux created this one, as well as all the fragrances from the house. A very difficult fragrance to describe. It's so well blended, it's hard to truly distinguish everything. I get a lot of rhubarb, this rhubarb tartness, kind of supported by a nice leather note, or it's kind of suede like. It's sweet though, with a little bit of tonka bean in there, but there's something in here. I can't quite tell you what it is. It's somewhere in the heart of the scent. When you smell it, you just smell like, okay, I smell it's leather, I smell it's sweet, and it's kind of tart. There might be even some cinnamon in here too, but there's something in here that it smells kind of vintage per the name. It smells a little bit classic. So if you want to smell great, and if you want to smell classy for the evenings, this is what you got to check out. Vintage. Check out my review if you want even more in-depth analysis on this one. And at number 1. Now, last fall, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think I had a fall list, because I didn't make my return to YouTube until last December. And I was out from May to December, so I didn't actually have a fall list last year. But I did have one the previous year, and if I'm not mistaken, this fragrance was number 1 on that list. I haven't watched that video since I released it, so I'm not sure, but I have the feeling, I'm looking at the bottom like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I put this at number 1. And it's still at number 1 here. This is one that not everyone appreciates, and that's okay. Dior Homme from Christian Dior. Many people will tell you you don't need this, that you should just go with Dior Homme Parfum or Dior Homme Intense or Valentino Uomo or Valentino Uomo Intense or all the other flinkers and copies and inspirations, but this is the original. And sometimes the OG just remains the OG. Even when you get something that's more modern or updated, when you come back to the original, first of all, you come back to it with the context of knowing that all these other fragrances you might like that came from this would not be in existence if it were not for this. Iris, cacao, leather, lavender, bergamot. So it's leathery, it's kind of lipsticky and waxy, which makes it polarizing, but it is sweet and chocolatey, especially as it dries. That leather and the cacao kind of combine into something really wonderful. It's fresh when you first spray it on with the lavender and the citrus. Super classiness in a bottle. Man, yes, I can't wait to wear this more. Your own. Love it. Used to not. I always say that. I used to not really love the scent. I used to kind of hate it until I actually wore it on skin. I'm like, whoa. It dries down into something so alluring. So that is my top 10 fragrances for the fall 2019 designer edition. Once again, stay tuned for my niche list, which will be out, I don't know, in the next week or two. I'll put it out after this one. And please let me know. You know how I like to do things. Let me know the one fall fragrance. If you had to choose 10, what would be number one that you're going to be wearing this fall in terms of designer fragrances? Let me know in the comments. Let's talk about it. If you like the video, then like the video. You know how it goes. Let me know. Let YouTube know, so I can keep making this content for you. And if you have not subscribed, if you've made it this far in the video, then wow, you're a real one. But please consider subscribing, hit that bell so you get notified. And thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.